there, welcome back to my channel, Uniquely Reagan Handcrafted Cards. Today I've been making, or I've die cut already, some rosettes. These dies came from Stamps of Life, and what they do is you take some paper, and you can do it in cardstock or pattern design paper, and cut 2 of them out of 1 die. So for every 2 that you cut in this die here, or 2 of these, or 2 out of this die, you get these here, and the lines on the die will actually score your pattern paper. And to make a rosette, you want to fold in mountain valley folds back and forth to get your edges of your rosette. So that die is going to help you get those crease marks so that it makes it really easy and simple to create your rosette. There are some other companies out there that sell dies. You can also find files on your Cricut if you have a scoring tool with your Cricut, and you can create your rosette edges. It's basically a long piece of paper with 1/4-inch score marks down the side and a decorative border. That's what a rosette is made out of. So I'm going to take this other piece and I'm going to fold it in mountain valley folds too. And just go along those score lines. You can see those score lines indented there. Just keep folding your pattern paper. You don't really want to use very thick paper. You want to be able to fold it without it cracking. So don't use a really thick paper. Real thin cardstock. This came out of a paper pad that I got at a thrift shop over the summer. It almost seems like the perfect weight of paper. I'll show you a couple that I have already put together once I get this folded here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 of these to make a circle. So you're going to glue these together to create one continuous piece, and then you'll glue the edge around on the other side, and it's going to create a band or a circle. So if you don't have dies like this, you can create your own. Maybe you have some decorative scissors. I have some decorative scrapbooking scissors that I have had for a while now. This has kind of a cute edging with a little bit of a, not much of a scallop. This one has a little bit more. It's called Victorian. This one is a pinking sheer edge. So just a zigzag basically. So you can create the edging and borders using decorative scissors, or if you have dies, slimline dies like these, you can cut your 2 pieces from one large slimline die and cut it down the center, and you've got 2 pieces. You've got 2 halves basically. So say I had cut this piece of paper here out of 1 piece of paper. It's not the same die, I'm just showing as representation. If I had cut it from this slimline die and then cut it down the center, it would give me my 2 pieces from 1 slimline die. So I have a representation of a couple of other types of slimline dies. I have these from Diamond Press. So there's some other slimline dies. They've got neat borders. This one has a scallop border. This one kind of has a rickrack border on it, and a couple different scallop borders. And the good thing about using something like this is that you don't have to trim down any of your layers. All you're going to do is cut down the center of your border, and you've got 2 halves of your whole circle. So what do I mean by your whole circle? So let me get a little bit of this out of the way. I've cut enough to make a whole bunch of rosettes. So I'll get these dies out of the way as well. So 2 pieces of the pattern paper on the round. 1 half is here. You can see my join mark right here. The other half is joined over here. So this is 1 strip, and this is the second strip. And I've used 2 pieces of pattern paper, just the same die cuts out the same type of circle, and I just trimmed the second one up to shorten the height. And that makes a smaller circle because the circumference is smaller. So let me show you what I mean here. So let me show you on these. These are the same dies that I used to cut out this. And I just trimmed it down to 1 1/4 inch wide here. And there's my number 2 piece. And this is the original full strip out of this. So this is going to be my back layer, or the larger piece. And this one is going to be the top layer of the rosette. Just like that. So I need 2 pieces from each of the dies or cuts, or if you're doing it with scissors or you're doing it with other border dies like this, you're going to need 2 to make 1 circle. But you need, if you're going to do a double layer like this, you actually need 4 pieces, a wider one and a slimmer one to get going. So after you have them folded in Mountain Valley, then you need to glue them together. So let me get a little bit of glue. Doesn't really matter. It's going to be hidden by our little circles here. So I found it when I was creating these, and I've made these in the past. I make these into ornaments, and I'm not done decorating. I'm gonna keep going here. But in the center, I have another one of these dots. One of these. It's a 1 inch circle punch. So I've got different types of punches out here. I have a 1 1/2 inch punch. I have a 1 inch punch, and also a 1 3/4 inch scallop. So I just used some scrap paper, but what I found, it's a lot easier to go ahead and put some glue. Let's see, I'm going to use this for the bottom and this to sandwich in between the 2 here. So I'm going to put some glue on the base, and I'm not going to do the base, I'm going to do the center. Let me put some glue on what is going to be the center. So I'm just adding some glue right there. This is 3-in-1 glue by Beacon. So to create your rosette, you need to push this all down into the center. If you push and get that, push it together so that it's kind of being held together just like this. It wants to flop up, but if you hold it together and then take your circle, your 1 inch punch with your glue on it, this is why it might be easier with hot glue. So press that in. I'm gonna hold that into position. I can also get a couple of acrylic blocks to place on it, and I will. Let's place that there while we work on this one. I'm going to create it in 2 separate entities, and then I'm going to join them together. Hold this together. You almost need 4 hands. I'm going to get a little bit of glue out here. And you can put the glue on there, or you can put the glue directly onto your rosette. We need to get the glue around the edges here where our circle's going to cover. And this is one of the reasons why I kind of like to go onto the circle, because it depends on how big you're going. How big of a circle it is, that you don't know until you get there how much glue is going to hold it together. So I'm going to press and hold that for a second. And if needed, I can get a couple more acrylic blocks and just, now see, it wants to flop apart. We want to try to keep it contained, so keep our circle in the center. Put some weight on it with those acrylic blocks. And now this is all together, but it still wants to spring back. This is the back side. Before I do anything else, I'm going to get some ribbon because I want to make this into an ornament. I have a bunch of ribbon in here that I got at a thrift shop. So I'm going to grab out a little bit of a length of ribbon here. And what's left on this little spool is about the most perfect length. Just get the edge of tape off of that. And it's just going to make a little loop. So that actually works out perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue on the back side of my paper here, and I'm going to cover my loop under the paper and then glue it to I'm going to glue the rosette together so that the ribbon is on it. Remember, this is the back side of our back piece, our larger rosette. So I'm going to get just a nice size glue, bit of glue. If you have a glue gun, that will be easy to do as well. So I'm going to try to get this ribbon placed so it catches underneath this ribbon, this circle, just like that. And I like to use a larger one on the back and plain cardstock just to provide some decoration there. And this is our top piece. We can turn this over and attach it. It keeps wanting to come forward. I'm going to put some glue on this piece here. This is the center of our rosette. So we're stacking them together. Your glue gun glue is going to dry much more quickly. So I'm stacking these together and put those blocks on top. So I like to do several at a time so that they have time to set up and dry before I move on to the next step. That's why I have already created, I'm going to put that right there. I've already created several. I've got 4 here now that I need to put ribbon on the back side, and then I can think about decorating the front. Now, that ribbon is about 10 inches long, and that's a really good length. So I'm going to cut the others to the same. Okay, let's decorate the front of this one while the others are drying up a little bit. I have some decorations from, these were in my stash here, so let me just see what I can use. I'm gonna put this glue away. Put the lid back on that. And then I'm going to use some of these little stickers. I got this at a thrift shop. It was half off or 30% off of that price. I got this over the summer along with the same paper pad. So using up what I have. So again, this circle is being hidden, so it doesn't even really matter what it looks like. It's being used to hold everything together. So I'm going to put some glue in the center of this. I'm just using some wet glue and put some around the edges there just so it has something to catch. And this is the top, so I'm going to offset that just a little bit. And that's going to dry. I don't want to push it around too much, but it's going to dry on there. So I'll just set that aside. And then let's look at this one. I love these stickers. They are so pretty and elegant. And this paper is kind of vintagey. So I think it goes well together. Let me get some there. Now this one I think I'll just put up in parallel to the top there so it stands up straight. Very nice. So once they're done, they are very sturdy. They look delicate, but they are very sturdy. So we'll go over to this one and find another sticker. There we go. Let's see what this looks like. And one more, we got a green one here. So this piece has a lot of green on it. That might be cute. Or we could use Peppermint Lane. We could, oh, this looks very nice. The Peppermint House, the Mistletoe Boutique. These came from Hobby Lobby. I've got a whole bunch more of these, so I don't think these are going to go to waste. Since I already have this open, I think I'm going to go ahead. Actually, that's really small, that top layer there. I think I'm going to use one of these other stickers. Because this top layer is smaller, I want to use one of the smaller stickers, something that is a little more size appropriate maybe. Let's see. I don't want it sticking to all of that. North Pole Toys. There we go. There we go. I've got 5 ornaments together here. Let me get this excess glue off. So I already have 5 rosettes made here. And then if you want to make rosettes like this, get yourself a couple rosette dies or get some decorative scissors and a scoreboard. And you need a couple pieces of paper that are about 2 inches. You need 2 of those. And then you need another couple pieces that are 1.25 inches. And that's about, this is about 7 3/4 inches long. each of these dies. So what you're going to do is you're going to score your paper. And before I scored it, those pieces of paper were probably about 8 inches, but you need to score your paper at every 1/4 inch mark. Here's one that's scored but not folded yet, so you can see those score marks on there perhaps, and that's scored at every 1/4 inch. 1/4, half, 3/4, 1. So score those at every 1/4 inch and then fold it in Mountain Valley for each of your 2 pieces. Then make your circles and glue them together. Get yourself a couple of punches that will punch out your, just use some scrap cardstock and get some ribbon, and then a glue gun or some 3-in-1 glue that's going to be really strong and adhere really well and last a long time. These won't fall apart. But we've got a couple great ornaments. They look really fun. They look delicate, but they're actually very, very sturdy. If you press on the center there, that's not going anywhere. It's not going to collapse in that center because we have it stacked in layers. There's a layer of cardstock. This is pretty heavy duty cardstock in between each of these layers, but the paper itself is pretty thin. So give this a try. If you don't have the dies, get yourself some paper, scoreboard, and some decorative scissors, and you can make rosettes too. All right, thank you for watching. I appreciate you doing that, and hit that subscribe and like button down there at the bottom of the screen. Leave me a comment and tell me what you think of these rosette ornaments, and then come back and see me the next time I have a crafty video. I'm going to leave a link to another video that you may enjoy at the end of this one. Have a great day. Bye.